guys, welcome to my second vlog. If you tuned into the first one, thank you. If this is your first inner monologue blog, welcome, or vlog, welcome. Today I want to talk about G20 as well as the BP oil spill with an overlaying theme of honest journalism and large corporations or large government agencies allowing for honest journalism. So first we will talk about G20. So what G20 is 19 countries from around the world, and they come together to basically discuss the global economy. This year it's being held in Toronto. There's a lot of protests going on, a lot of cops, and I guess there was some giant wall built around where the G20 meetings are happening, which I don't really understand, and I haven't seen any pictures. But basically, the other day, the protests got really violent. These people called Black Bloc protesters who dress in all black, they started getting violent, but when that happened, there weren't police around, even though Canada spent over $1 million for security cameras and security. They weren't around when they were getting violent and blowing up police cars. But then when journalists were trying to get close to the scene and when peaceful protesters were just sitting and hanging out, the police were all over it, and it looks like there was a lot of really unjustified violence. I've listened to a lot of interviews on podcasts and things of people who were there saying that their cameras were stolen and that police officers were, hitting journalists. It didn't matter if they had their pass with them, their G20 press corps pass, it didn't matter. They were just, kicking ass and taking names for no particular reason, which brings me to question. So here are these police officers who are hired by the government, and they're taking advantage of journalists and not wanting journalists to get up close and see what's really going on. And so if the journalists can't get up close and see what's going on, and that's mandated by the government, how are we actually going to know what's really going on? And I just said going on like 8 times, but whatever. So that also brings me to BP. Today is July 7th. It is day 79 of this super awesome oil spill we got going on. Way to go, BP. I would tell you facts about how many gallons are going out per day, or, all the statistics, but a lot of them are bullshit and not really real. So we don't actually know how much is true and what's really going on, or what solutions are actually going to work, or if any are going to work. BP's even managing to lie to the government, so hey, good work with that, guys. Yeah, and again, another case of journalists being restricted to what they can report and what they can see. Journalists are not allowed to fly 3,000 miles above the water, but Democracy Now! Anchor Amy Goodman said her helicopter was badgered by military people over the radio, and she had to stay 4,000 miles over the water. BP is also adding sand to the beaches to make it look layered, to make it look like there's no problem at all. But if you dig a little deeper, there are layers of oil, which is super good. And they're actually denying it. And it's funny because there are people who are being interviewed who are like, I saw this firsthand. You can't deny that this is real. Stop trying to lie. So with the, keeping high in the sky of journalists and also keeping them out of restricted areas and telling employees not to interview or their jobs will be at risk, and there's just a lot of issues going on in the world, and it's hard for anyone to find out about them because people don't want journalists around and don't want them reporting on the gross things that are going on, which is just bullshit, because if they can't report on what's going on, then how are we supposed to know that something's wrong, and how are we supposed to fix it? As, whether it's American citizens or just if you want to look at it on a global perspective, if there's something going on at, a global meeting that isn't right, shouldn't we be able to rally around as a continent, as people who care about human rights and stand up against it? But we can't do that if we don't know that it's going on. It's funny because I was actually just talking to a good friend of mine. I was like, oh, did you hear about the protesters who, got shut down in Toronto? And he was like, what are you talking about? I have no idea. And I was like, you're the most informed guy I have ever met, and you don't know this is going on. That's really stressful. So on that note, I have been reading a lot of really great things lately, that aren't bullshit, that are past the fluffy Fox News, CNN, malarkey. Yeah, that's right. I just wrote CNN with malarkey. As a former CNN lover, I'm totally over it. They're full of shit. They don't really present any good news. Anderson Cooper, I love you, but I don't really know what's going on with your station. So I will post these links on my blog and probably on the little window that's next to the video. Places you should check out. Democracy Now! Excellent place for all news that isn't really reported. It's also short blurbs, and they have a podcast that's really cool. Real News Network, which is at therealnewsnetwork.com, has really good videos. They actually have a lot of good stuff on G20 and some interesting things on the oil spill. AllisonKilkenny.com. She is my absolute favorite. She is a part of a podcast called Citizens Radio, which I'm absolutely obsessed with, and you should totally subscribe to, because it is the funniest, most informed thing I have ever listened to, and I am growing as a person as I listen to these fucking hilarious people talk. So please check that out. It's called Citizens Radio, and this website's called Allison Kilkenny. The other one I looked at was called Mother Jones, which I am actually a huge fan of. I haven't looked at it as much, but what I see I do really like. It's just motherjones.com, and they actually have a lot of stuff on the oil spill. They have a lot on that, obviously. It's like a big topic right now. And also random other blurbs of news that I haven't heard anything about, and I'm really excited to be reading because they're important. For example, there's like anti-abortion protests going on, and how Elena Kagan, she didn't have any of that in her Supreme Court hearing, and how, you know, there's just stuff going on in the world. So yeah, check it out. Definitely look at it. I'll include those links at the bottom of the video. Thank you for coming back to listening to my second blog, and get yourself out there and inform yourself.